Now I'd like to talk to you a little about how this CD program is actually structured. In a moment, we'll actually be looking at the content of each of the CDs, but that's for the next session. In this session, I want you to focus your mind on how you'll be learning, how the information has been packaged for your learning ease. Well, the first thing we've decided to do is to look at hypnosis or conversational hypnosis as a series of topics that you can master one by one. That way you can have skills that you build up over time. So in each CD you'll find a certain topic or range of topics that will address bit by bit in order for you to grow your own skills. These topics will include things like inductions, conversation inductions, the foundations for hypnotic language, and trance processes you can use for influence and persuasion. Now, when you drill down into each CD, you'll find a similar structure flowing throughout, which will make it more convenient for you to learn and for you to understand the information that's coming your way. First of all, we'll start with a general discussion of principles involved with that particular topics, so your mind can actually begin to acclimatize and understand what it is you're trying to achieve and what you're aiming for. Once we have a general discussion of each of the principles, you'll actually have examples of conversational hypnosis in action, because this way you can see the principles in action. The next sequence will typically be a breakdown of those very examples, so that you can begin to draw out of each of the examples the actual principles that you have been learning. It's important for you to have an understanding both intellectually and for you to be actually able to recognize those things when they're happening. And this is for two reasons. One reason is that out there, accidental hypnosis is happening all the time. And it's a really good idea to learn when someone else is using very good material without even knowing about it. Well, the other reason, of course, is your learning will be quicker when you understand what you're doing and you know what it is you're trying to achieve. The next section on each CD will be tips and tricks of the trade. Really specific ideas or tricks that you can apply to really make it work in the real life world. You see, there's one thing learning information as a theory. It's another thing entirely learning information as a practice, something you can actually do time and time again in the real world. And this is where I want you to be able to use this, which is why the next section on every CD is filled with exercises for your learning and comprehension. Now, these exercises are actually unique because each of these exercises is designed for you to actually use in a normal conversation with someone who doesn't even know you're doing these things. Now, some exercises, I have to admit, will be things that you can do to prepare yourself, to set yourself up for later conversations. But for the most part, these exercises will be about you talking to someone else and learning to actually weave into your conversations the actual skills you're trying to build. This way you can build your skill one bit at a time. Now, at the end of this CD, you'll have some examples of what I mean by this, and if they seem a bit complex, please don't worry about it. You're on the first CD of a 12 CD set. By the end of this program, you'll be able to re-listen to the very examples what I give you at the end of this CD, and you'll understand them. It'll be easy and straightforward. And for some of you, it might even be a little bit too simple, which is when you realize that you've really learned something worth learning.